Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Star Wars Guys YouTube channel where the Force is family, and welcome to another episode of Tuesday Night Trek. I am, of course, Master Paul, joined by my co-hosts Golgo13 Anime 101 and the Nerdporial Lifeform. Spock will be along in a couple minutes. And real quick, let's see who's in the chat. Star Wars Theology, by the way, this is Felix's channel, so subscribe to that one. He did a really good video for Echo Base TV yesterday. And he says, you guys do great reviews about these Star Trek episodes. Great work. Thank you. Coffee on Korriban is here. Thank you very much. In fact, Coffee on Korriban, even though this is Coke, here's a sip for you. And Alan Copeland is here. So thank you guys for watching. All right. So we are here to talk about Season 3 of the original series, episodes 16 through 20. And by the way, guys, this is the second to last episode on Star Trek the original series. How's that feel?
End of an era.
It does.
It is an end of an era, but with as hit and miss as season 3 has been, while I've liked most of them that I've seen, I'll be glad to be going into the animated series because that'll be completely new for me because I have never sat down and watched them in their entirety. So that'll be fun.
They'll feel like watching Scooby-Doo.
I look forward to it. All right, so reading off the episodes that we're going with today, starting with episode 16, we have The Mark of Gideon, That Which Survives, The Lights of Zatar, Requiem for Methuselah, and The Way to Eden. So let's go ahead and get into The Mark of Gideon. So this is one where Captain Kirk attempts to go down to the planet Gideon, but gets accidentally beamed, well, they think accidentally, to like a replica of the Enterprise where there's literally no one on there but himself and another woman, and the two are trying to figure out what happened, and it shows a whole bunch of different trippy things like ghosts of people looking outside in space into the ship. But it turns out it's all a big experiment that the leader of Gideon is running to introduce disease to his population because they, as he puts it, love life too much, love the creation of life too much, that their planet literally has become too crowded. And so he wants to introduce disease to reduce the population. And Kirk was supposed to be the genesis of all of that, and his daughter was supposed to be the sacrifice. So that concept by itself, what do you guys think of that?
Oh, where do I begin with this? They love life too much. Translation, they love sex. But that's neither here or there.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing. This episode screams Catholicism all up and down the whole thing. The whole planet of Gideon being so abhorrent to the taking of life or not using contraception, abortion, etc., etc. All of those are tenets of Catholicism, or at least traditional Catholicism. So that I recognize that part right up front. Now, it's interesting that this particular culture, the way it's written, had become, their immune systems had got so good, so advanced that they couldn't get sick. It was very rare that anybody died, and their lifespan increased dramatically because of it. From what it sounds like, we're talking hundreds upon hundreds of years, as opposed to in standard Star Trek parlance, their lifespan peaks out at about 150, which, depending upon who you ask, is what some scientists currently believe that we could achieve. We're capable of it. But having a planet that loves to have sex, doesn't know how to say no, doesn't believe in contraception, lives dang near forever, yeah, you're going to end up with extreme overpopulation, and that's exactly what happens with this. And although the way that they try to figure out how to stop it is to reintroduce a disease that's extremely lethal if it's allowed to go past 24 hours.
Right.
And once everything is realized, and then everything starts to make more sense as to the why. Don't necessarily agree with why they're doing it, but I at least understand where they're coming from with it. Plus, it's fun to see Spock in command bantering with a politician, basically, and a very skilled politician. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And real quick, ActionCom says they tried contraception methods, even handed out the OnlyFans option, and it still didn't work. And yeah, they did mention that in the episode where they tried, for example, getting the ladies' tubes tied, but apparently that their immune system or their regeneration abilities are just so good that it was meaningless to even try.
Overrides it. As a side note, I've heard that if a gentleman has a vasectomy done, there have been cases where it regenerates. So yeah, you definitely gotta.
How's it going?
Hey Spock.
Hail everybody! Hail Pacific! Hail ActionCom! Hail Master Paul! How's it going?
You are absolutely booming through that mic, man.
Yeah.
Really loudly? Hold on, let me see if I can fix it.
Yes. Yeah, really loudly, and we're hearing echoes.
Oh gosh, how about now?
Your volume's better. But
Okay.
I still hear the echo.
All right, let me see if I can get rid of the echo. Try now.
All right, so real quick, hello to Pacific 414. Thanks for joining.
Hail Pacific 414.
And hello, Felix, on your normal account.
Felix, good to see you.
And
Alan Copeland, good to see you too.
Yes. And ActionCom again says, interesting that the government officials didn't have to suffer what the, I'm guessing you meant to say plebs did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very interesting because the government officials seem better about it, but even at that, his daughter, when she's talking to Kirk, she says, "I don't remember any part in my life where I ever had a moment to myself."
Mm-hmm.
That level of overcrowding, I could see would be, man, that would be a mind trip.
But at the same time, just imagine this. As you said, they enjoy life, they enjoy making life, but at the same time, they're so overcrowded that, as she said, she can't remember a time where she didn't have a moment to herself. So just imagine how awkward some nights must have been around there.
No.
Yeah, I know, right?
Once here's all I'll say about it. If you don't have that level of privacy, then there's no voyeurism. If there's no voyeurism, then there's no titillation to it. So it's more or less just it's there, okay, you're doing it, whatever. It takes away the that triggering of the brain that excites people with that type of stuff. So it just becomes more or less the mundane. But you're right, they do love life so much that they keep doing it anyways.
Right.
They're doing it like they do on the Discovery Channel.
Of course. By the way, Spock, Felix sends this for you.
Oh, appreciate it, Felix. Thanks, man. Yeah, I was very surprised to see that video go up today because I thought that wasn't going to be done for a while, but it was really cool to see that. Thanks, Felix.
Yeah. And Brian, we haven't heard from you yet on this episode. What's your thoughts on it?
I've only seen this episode a handful of times. I didn't own this on tape, so I saw this when I saw the rest of the episodes on the DVDs. This is a pretty mundane episode. I mean, this is basically overpopulation was something that was talked about on the news and in magazines, journals quite a bit around this time. So this was one of those things where they kind of took that issue and tried to make, break a story out of that. In this case, they're trying to, once again, this is basically overpopulation, lack of privacy. Obviously, the whole idea of some form of euthanasia is being introduced because these people have long lifespans and they have sex a lot, and so there's too many people, and there's not enough room on the planet. And I mean, I felt like this episode felt kind of inconclusive. I watched it recently, and it just seemed like, oh, they wanted to infect her, and they just helped her. They send her to the ship. McCoy heals her, sends her back to the planet. They just leave, and that was the end of the episode. I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and apparently she's still, according to this, she's still carrying the virus. It's not going to kill her. And then that's just how the episode ends. So I felt like to me, this was a very weak episode.
Sounds like they're going to carry out their genocide, more or less, because that's basically ultimately what something like this would do. As they put it, it would basically restore a natural order. Their immune system would have something that it can't overcome, and by doing that, naturally reduce the population. The way that it looked to me is they're basically trying to justify genocide in such a way that they're not actually killing each other. It's just nature taking its course with a sickness.
Right.
And there's a part of that that's rather disturbing, but understandable. So, yes.
So yeah, go ahead. It's one of those episodes where they basically they go to a planet. They encounter a problem. Usually, either they step headfirst into the problem, or in the case of, or Kirk or someone gets kidnapped. And in this case, Kirk gets kidnapped again and stuff. So, and they tried to make this like a mystery, like, where is he? Why is there another Enterprise? Well, obviously this was a bottle episode. They needed to use the set, so they recreated it. You have to. I mean, writers had to make do with what they had to work with. So recreated the Enterprise, and then they put a random woman in it, and then you see a bunch of people, in the literally in the window wearing like these
ninja
Teletubby
creepers,
little Teletubby outfits, or something. I don't know.
They kind of look like Minecraft creepers.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole ghost thing, I didn't get.
Yeah, I guess that was like.
Never thought about it like that. They do look like Minecraft creepers.
So I just saw them as like discount ninja costumes that you'd get at like Dollar Tree for your kid at Halloween or something.
But yeah, here's a fun fact about this episode. This episode was co-written by Stanley Adams. Stanley Adams was the guy that plays Cyrano Jones in The Trouble with Tribbles. He's the guy that brought the Tribbles on board in the first place. Same guy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and the guy that plays the assistant to that ambassador guy, I think.
Yeah.
He was in Mud's Women. He was the lead miner.
Was he now?
Yeah, Eugene Dynarski is his name. So I recognize them, and I recognize because I've read about this episode so many times. I just haven't seen it. But yeah, this is a weak episode.
Okay.
Probably my bottom 10.
Yeah. Now, ActionCom asks a couple questions here. So first off, he asks, what did you think of the funky cinematography through the glass table, panels in the way of the comm screen?
I found
I'll be honest, I didn't notice.
Compared to the funky cinematography of Is There No Truth, No Beauty, I don't even remember it, so it probably did nowhere near as weird.
Right.
In my opinion.
Not obstructing.
Yeah, it wasn't like fisheye lens, shaky cam, like in some of those other episodes. So
yeah,
it wasn't that bad. Not to mention, having watched pretty much this whole series by this point, I've sort of gotten used to the way that this show shot what it shot, and so it's all just the same to me at this point, cinematography wise. And then the other question he asks is, do you think Kirk would have stayed to help if it came down to it?
No, absolutely not. Kirk is a Starfleet man through and through. This is one of those things where he's abducted. No way would he help it. Had they gone to the Federation with the truth, they probably would have said just avoid the planet, period, because what they're wanting to do is more or less genocide. Or they could have found a plan and actually solved it in a diplomatic fashion. It is kind of interesting, though, some of the solutions he said. Well, why don't you just sterilize everybody? Well, that's pretty extreme, don't you think?
Mhm.
I was like, we had a bout of that back in the first half of the 1900s. It's called eugenics, and it's called words that cannot be used on this platform. But think a Germany. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the fact that even that when I heard him give some of these suggestions, I'm like, wait a minute, this is the type of stuff that you would hear, that you basically hear from depopulationists now. And
Yeah.
depopulationists and eugenicists were trying to do and did do in certain scales around the globe during the first half of the 1900s. So
Yeah.
I thought it was to me, that seemed a little bit out of character for Kirk. Some of his recommendations, he'd still suggested good things like, well, if you like having whoopee, that's fine. Why don't you use contraceptions? And then they're like, it doesn't work. Our bodies are too powerful. We can't,
Right.
sir. It's too dangerous.
And also, Action Com points out the shower scene must have been horrific. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Psycho is nothing compared to that.
Right. And by the way, I didn't say hello earlier, but hello to Leia Rose. So
Hail, Leia.
Yep. So overall, this episode, to me, it was okay, but there are certainly far more episodes better than this one. But it's also not the worst.
You
a
stole the
season-
words right out of my mouth. That's basically the best way to describe this episode, in my opinion.
Nowhere
Yeah.
near "And the Children Shall Lead" level.
Oh, for
No.
crap's sake.
Lord, no.
No, please. No. No.
Please,
No.
just no.
No.
Yeah.
Here's my final
Okay.
thought on this. For a season 3 episode, I rather liked it. It's interesting how things worked during the 23rd century on the bridge. You got Spock trying to be all diplomatic, and then you have everybody around him basically throwing their 2 cents in at all times. Whereas in something like Next Generation or anything further, had you done that, they would have had you sent off to the gallows. Let's put it that way.
I believe it. Now, another question that ActionCom asks is, what do you think of the manipulative situation to get Kirk open to the idea? An empty Enterprise with a scared woman aboard.
They're
Honestly,
playing. They're
that
playing
idea by
his
itself,
character flaws.
that idea by itself is interesting. It's just what they did with it and kind of where it ended that it made it kind of fall a little bit flat for me.
It sounded like the ambassador knew quite a bit about Kirk. So they, if I remember correctly, in the episode, they did said, we chose you for various reasons. Well, one, because he had this disease that almost killed him. But they probably also chose him because they know that he has a way with the women of the galaxy and cannot
Yes.
stand to see a female.
Yeah, it was planned for a while. So
Right.
Yeah, I liked it. But
I can't speak like Kirk at all. If I try, it sounds like Christopher Walken. You about a guy,
It's
I'm not even.
that
gonna
sounds like
bother
Spock
attempting
trying to
this.
be Christopher Walken if Spock had a non-Vulcan personality.
by the way, you guys know that you guys know Shatner's going to Space Lake in like a week or so.
I
Yeah,
heard about
yeah.
that, and that's going to be amazing. If he
Yeah, it's gonna be
doesn't
crazy.
if he does not incorporate some sort of iconic Star Trek line into
He has
this,
to do a captain's log. He has to do a captain's
he has
log.
to. It would be such a big missed opportunity if he didn't.
Oh, I'm going to tweet that to him now. Mr.
Yes.
Shatner.
Everyone tweet this to him.
Captain's log supplemental.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, this is for you, Spock.
Scotty, we need more cowbell. Oh my gosh.
Yep. All right, next episode is That Which Survives. And this one, I think, I liked this one definitely better than the
Yeah.
last one. It's where Kirk, Sulu, Chekhov, and another random guy, a blue shirt this time,
Yeah, shocking. A
stranded-
blue shirt this time.
gets stranded on a very strange planet that's been having these weird, we'll say, energy surges. Meanwhile, the people that are in the landing party and people on the Enterprise are getting stalked by this seemingly one very good-looking woman that's able to kill a man with a touch, completely disrupt a person's cells, as McCoy points out.
I am for you, Kirk.
Yep. And the twist at the end is, again, it's another computer that is making replicas of this one woman that is, again, able to somehow just touch and, you get killed. Except in Sulu's case, because he barely got a touch.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think of this episode and how they played with that idea?
Well, the only thing that I'll say is if you're an engineer and you've been told to go check something and you see a drop dead gorgeous woman there, the first thing you don't do is show them where your flow regulator, you don't try to explain things to the ship or show them where stuff is or explain to it.
Yeah.
The first thing out of my mouth would be, Scotty, something's wrong. Either that or, hey,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, that was a, for me, that was a really, depressing scene for that poor guy, because you think he's not gonna die because of, I don't know, like, they don't really, like, for red shirts, they don't give him too many lines, so the fact that he's able to, like, talk a bit with this entity, it's kind of interesting that she doesn't just go right away and kill him. It's almost, they showed that in this episode, that there's, like, a strange kind of need, these beings need from us, like, they have some kind of weird craving, and they don't
Yeah.
draw it, like, like you see in a lot of episodes today. They don't just draw it out as like, oh, they're just trying to kill the entire crew and all of that. This entity is just trying to gather something from the like some kind of energy from the crew or something. I forgot what it was exactly, but
It was a security. It was a security system. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting to see him call out to Scotty before he died.
By the way, I sent out that tweet. So it's
hopefully he reads it.
I even add Amazon. I said, Mr. Bezos, make sure he does this. So if you can all do, if you find my tweet, retweet it. Let's get Mr. Shatner to notice it.
Yeah.
Oh, Action said a really good thing. That's pretty much summing it up right there.
Which one? This one?
What's interesting is that a woman plays on your sympathy, not act sinister. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't want, she says that she doesn't want to kill every single time, but it's not her making the choices. It's this computer, because she's not real anymore. She's just a replica created by this computer.
That's right, yeah.
Mechanism.
I wonder if she's a hologram. I think she's a hologram.
She's basically a hologram.
I don't think she was, because Kirk was able to touch her and stop her hand.
Well, they can touch the EMH and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, you haven't seen TNG yet. You will though. I mean, sorry, Voyager. In Voyager, they show the holographic doctor, and he's able to be touched and whatnot. So they give the idea that holograms in the late 23rd century or 24th have like some kind of physical contact. It could be, or she could just be, a robot.
All you gotta do is disengage the safety protocols, and they can touch you and kill you and stuff. So there you go.
Right.
The fact that she's able to instantly vanish kind of makes me believe she's a hologram.
That's kind of why I thought that too. So it was interesting seeing. It was interesting, like you had Kirk, Sulu, McCoy, and you had this Lieutenant D'Amato. Well, when you have the three regulars and a guest character who was wearing a shirt, I don't think he was wearing a red. Was he wearing a red shirt? I think
it was a sign. It was
a geologist, I think.
Yeah, geologist.
So he was probably wearing blue then. What do you think happens to that fourth character? In order to raise the stakes of the episode, yeah, he's got to be sacrificed. So we have they to keep them on the planet alone, they had to come up with a reason for the Enterprise not to support them. So apparently, for some reason, the Enterprise is all the way like a sector away or something, and they're trying to get
sectors, almost 1,000 light years.
Okay, so
yeah,
and then somehow the Lucera, who is the the hologram. She is somehow on board all those ways away, and she basically sabotages the engines and stuff. And so the ship starts getting faster and faster and faster to the point where it's gonna blow up. It's gonna it can't handle the structural integrity, cannot handle that speed. So it's gonna the ship's gonna blow up. So Scotty goes in there with like a wrench. He literally goes in there, just sticks a wrench in the light, and then saves the day. That's all. That's pretty much all it was.
And speaking of Scotty, one line that he had in this where he's talking to Spock and he's like, I can't put my finger on it, but the ship just feels wrong somehow.
Yeah, the feel is wrong. And Spock's like, come back to me with some facts.
Right. By the way, hello to Jake D.
What's up, Jake D?
Well, let it be said to never dispel an engineer's feeling. Especially since he knows the ship better than even Spock does, as far as how it's supposed to sound, how it's supposed to work. If your chief engineer comes and says something's wrong, you better take it seriously.
Well, if you insult the ship, if he's willing to get into a fight with you, if you insult the ship, that tells you something. That tells you how intimate
they called the Enterprise a garbage scow,
sir. So there you go.
That was so good.
It should be hauled away as garbage. I'm sorry.
Sound just.
Thank you.
You sound just like Duhan. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you. Funny part is I'm not even trying with. I wasn't even trying with that. By the way, I found your tweet just now, and I am tweeting it out.
Okay, let me retweet it.
Yep.
Everybody, if you have Twitter, retweet that tweet. Let's get this to chat. Let's get this to the.
Let's get Shatner's log. Come on.
I mean, I'm sure everyone would get behind this.
Not only that, he has to do a log, and he's got to wear his classic outfit.
Okay, I didn't go that far, but he has.
That would be a classic outfit now.
No, he'll do that for us. He'll wear his Kirk shirt and be like, "Hey guys, let's go to space."
I just tweeted it out.
Yeah, I retweeted it. I'm gonna also message at him.
Right. By the way, ActionCom says Shatner in the past said he'd never do it, but now that he's 90, he's like, what the heck?
I mean, he's gonna be up in space for I think only 15 to 20 minutes, so he's got plenty of time. Yeah.
Right.
He's gonna be.
It's not.
He's gonna be.
It's not like a NASA ship. If it was NASA, that he would probably be there for like an hour or two.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sure Bezos wants to be really extra precautionary since he's got Mr. William Shatner on there.
He's 90 years old. So
yeah, he's gonna be the oldest man in space, man. That's crazy. He's gonna share the table with Buzz Aldrin, all the other greats.
Yeah, John. I think the oldest for a while was John Glenn when he went up in space in '99, or was it '98? I remember I was in 8th grade. We were watching the.
I remember
launch.
that.
They made a big deal. They made a big deal about that.
Yeah, first studying an elderly person for the effects of space on him. But I hate to think about this, but could you imagine the PR nightmare and just the overall nightmare if something did happen? I don't want to think about it, but man,
yeah, God forbid. Hopefully nothing happens.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Because I guess I'm a bit. Bezos has done it before and it went well. I guess I'm just a bit reserved. Like, hopefully everything goes to plan. He's got a bunch of NASA retirees, so I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
Right.
It's like they're taking the nursing home bus to space.
Right. Though, to be fair, even though Shatner's in his 90s, he still looks great.
Yes, he looks great. I want him in the next Star Trek. If they're going to make a Star Trek 4, unfortunately, with J.J. Abrams, I don't care. I want him in it. He needs to be Kirk.
I want him to be in the Orville. I want him
to please. That would be better. Yeah.
That would be
I just want him to see reprised as Kirk again, because that's the last thing I want to see before, God forbid, he passes away. But he's got a long time to go before he goes.
I would love to see him come in the Orville as a Kirk-like figure, someone that Seth MacFarlane's.
Oh yeah,
up
like a
to.
really good macho Orville captain.
Yeah, and then he would come back, have one last, hurrah and stuff. And I feel that would be the perfect send off for, Mr. Shatner on Trek,
I
because
agree.
Generations
Indeed.
was not that one, was not that send. It was not the send off that he should have gotten, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've got
All
an
right,
answer.
boys. I'll be
Action.
unfortunately. I'll be right back. I have to go take out the trash real quick.
That's fine.
Okay. Let's see. ActionCom asked a question. There is a movie that was done about old guys going to space that had Clint Eastwood in it. It's called Space Cowboys. Was it? No.
I'm looking this up.
Yeah, I thought it was Space Cowboys. I know the movie he's talking about. It's got him. It's got James Garner. It's got.
Yes, it is. Came out in 2000.
That's actually a very underrated movie. I really liked that one.
If my list wasn't so long already, I'd add it. But
Yeah, that's one you need to. That's not a important one to do. So yeah, you're fine. You're
right.
good.
And ActionCom also says Shatner looks great. Pat Stewart, not so much. I agree. I've not even seen Picard, but just seeing him,
yeah.
it's like, come on.
Shatner was a vegetarian all these years, and he always kept active. He's always working and everything. I mean, he's still super busy. And he's 90.
Right.
He's still doing shows. He's a couple of years ago, I went to see him. They were doing a Wrath of Khan showing, and he just came up. He was talking to us for like an hour and a half. He was standing up, walking around, making jokes, talking about like his horse breeding and his dog breeding and his and a couple of things, a couple of funny days at work, working on the movies in particular. So yeah, I mean,
nice.
He was super active for a person his age.
I believe it. And Coffee on Corbon asking, speaking of old guys, have I seen Red? I don't even know what that is. So you're going to have to fill me in on that, Tim.
It's an acronym for retired and extremely dangerous. Basically, it's
heard of it.
Bunch of people that used to work in one of your 3-letter agencies that decide to retire, and shenanigans ensue, and they try to kill him, and it's hilarious, but don't worry about adding that to the list. It's not list worthy yet. Get through what you got first.
Okay. Yeah, put a pin on that one, Tim. I'll get to it, but it's going to be a while. All right, so getting back to talking about the original series, though. Next episode is The Lights of Zatar. And strangely enough, this one, I wasn't expecting that we would get a Scotty-centric episode in this one, but I'm glad we did. Because this episode is very much focused on him and a budding romance that he has gotten with a new lieutenant. Admittedly, to the point that he's starting to slack on his normal duties at first, it seems. But then this weird alien pixie dust-like thing attacks Memory Alpha and attacks the Enterprise too. And right off the bat, the effect that it has on each of the different members of the bridge, where Kirk isn't able to hear, Sulu's not able to talk, Uhura's not able to move, and the girl just completely passes out. That was very interesting to see. And real quick, ActionCom, I was watching the remastered version, if that's what you're asking here. So basically, the girl that's Scotty's girlfriend gets the ability to see the future at the cost of she now has this alien entity that's slowly taking over her mind. And basically it becomes a mission to get that stuff out of her head. So what did you guys think of this episode?
Well, at least he's not accused of murder.
It's another one of those vampiric creature episodes where they have to they have to destroy it. So you had the M113 creature, the salt vampire from Mantrap, and then you had the killer cloud from Obsession. mean, this is a similar type of entity. It's or even like Wolf in the Fold. It's an evil entity. I think it's a bunch of I think it's made up of like a bunch of different people or something, a bunch of different aliens disembodied or something. You know,
Yeah.
Maybe they're maybe they're the beings that that were sucked out into Scientology. If you know what Scientologists believe in.
Huh.
Like souls are literally like, ripped out of people and thrown into the universe. I think that's kind of that's what I kind of think of when I think of this episode. And they literally like there's possession. Like I think Lieutenant Moraine, I think is her name. I think she gets possessed by these aliens, and they have to put her in the decompression chamber in order to get her back to normal and stuff. Which was a very creative way to do that. You only seen this once, and that was when Khan puts Kirk in the decompression chamber. So this is, I think, the only other time you actually see that chamber used in the show. Right. So, and real quick, Action Com says, I hope Memory Alpha had backups on other planets because NordVPN can fulfill your planetary needs. Not sponsored. Yeah, and this episode is the namesake of the wiki for Star Trek, the main wiki for Star Trek, Memory Alpha. I believe it. So I believe it. So yeah, I definitely get what you're saying, where this is in the same vein as the Man Trap, obsession and things like that. But I think we could all agree when I say that those episodes did the sort of vampiric creature idea better than this episode did, right? Oh, way better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially like Man Trap. Obsession is a kind of a mixed bag for me. I mean, it wasn't bad, but at the same time, it was, I don't know, it was a mixed bag. I think Conscience of the King was the better episode between that and Obsession, in my opinion. I agree. And also, I think the best thing that this episode had going for it was because, number one, it was an episode focusing on Scotty for once and just seeing him thinking about something other than the ship. Thinking about his girlfriend was interesting to see. Now, Action Com.
I have to agree because I'm sorry to interrupt, but what you said was really true, Paul, because a lot of the characters I don't say personally it's a bad thing because I love Kirk, but obviously you can tell in the show they focus a lot more on him compared to the other crew members. So it was a lot more, for me, entertaining and interesting to whenever they would dive into characters like McCoy or Scotty or even Chekhov, because it was just, something you hadn't seen before. Sorry, that's all I had to say.
No, it's fine. Action Com says the sequence where you see the aliens reach the planet on the big screen, was that thrilling? Were the lights of Zetar scary? Honestly, no, not really. It, like I said, it looked like pixie dust. The scariest thing about them was that really low, garbled speech that their victims would sometimes utter. Hey, Brandon, I know you have that new evocalator thing. Do you think you could try and mimic that?
Hold on one sec. Let me.
How's that?
Good.
All hail Zorb. That's all I'm going to say about that episode.
Fair enough.
And there you go. Do you guys know that this episode was written by Sherry Lewis?
Really?
Where do I know that name from?
Sherry Lewis is Lamb Chop. She's the puppeteer of Lamb Chop.
Lamb Chop wrote this. Sherry Lewis. Oh man.
Yes, I'm looking. I forgot about that.
Oh, Sherry Lewis was a puppeteer.
Yes, it was an old Channel 11 show, something along with Barney and Thomas the Tank Engine that little kids watch. Sesame Street, similar type of show.
She's been gone for a long time now.
Yeah.
Well, you got to look her up. She's pretty cool.
Sherry Lewis. Okay.
Yes.
And again, Action Com asking, what about the lady that they found dying on the floor of the library? Yikes! I agree. That was scary, especially when
it was pretty creepy.
Her skin's changing color. That was good job on that one.
Yeah, she's like, wow.
Honestly, who she kind of looked like to me when because I included that little segment in my Star Trek layman's guide. I actually showed that clip. She looks
Yeah.
like the old lady in Seinfeld that Jerry Seinfeld basically mugs for her marble rye. That she looks like that same actress, that same elderly actress, kind of.
Interesting.
Maybe that's what happens when you have too many. When
That
marble
disturbed
ryes.
me when I was a child.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I feel that. What action comes?
Yeah. I'm sure we all have stories of things that might not really be scary to someone as an adult, but as a kid, you're like,
Yeah.
that's
That's
I
a little
Wonder if
weird.
they snorted the pixie dust.
yeah. And by the way, Jake D says he's recently saw Revenge of the Sith, and he knows what happens if someone gets denied the rank of master.
That's
Oh,
insulting.
then yeah, you're very familiar. You know what it's like.
Yes. How can this be? It's outrageous. It's unfair. Take a seat, young Skywalker.
I love the prequels.
Me too. All right, next episode. Requiem for Methuselah. And I think this one's my favorite
Same
of
here.
this particular block of episode, where you have another disease that's infecting the Enterprise. And so Kirk, Spock, and McCoy go to this planet to search for a key ingredient in creating the cure. On this planet, they come across a man seemingly living alone on this planet that does not want them there at all. Though basically, Kirk and this guy, you could almost say they kind of punk each other out, because they're being like, "Okay, you fire on me," and then Kirk's like, "Okay, you fire on me. I'll have my ship fire on you." And they're like, "Okay, let's just calm down. I'll invite you into my house." And there's a girl living with this man. Well, come to find out that this man has a whole bunch of different Da Vinci paintings that had never been seen before. He also had a piece by Johannes Brahms that had never been performed before. Come to find out, this guy is literally all of those people that when he was living on Earth, he was immortal. And he created all of the great Renaissance works, apparently, that we enjoy today. But he got tired of Earth and thus left for the planet that he was on. And the girl that he had living with him ended up being an android that he created basically to be the perfect immortal wife. But being an android, she didn't have feelings. So Kirk was then used as the guinea pig to induce feelings into her. So,
Yeah.
What a twist.
yep.
Yeah,
And
what
then,
a
of
shock.
course-
Using Kirk to try and bring out the feelings from the women folk. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Even if
never
they're-
been
even if
done
they're
before.
androids. Even if
No,
they're
it's
androids too. I mean,
Yeah.
even in as early as what are little girls made of? He got Andrea to ask the android Kirk to kiss her, and
Right.
and he's like, no, illogical. And then you know what she does? She just kills him. She kills the android.
Yes. And also, I liked how basically this episode ended where the android is put into a position where she has to choose between Kirk and the guy that created her, and her animatronic brain just can't handle it and it kills her.
It's like
And then
having a kid. It's like having a kid have to choose between two parents. It's awful. It's horrible.
Right.
And
Yes.
kind of, in my opinion, very irresponsible of both
I
of them.
agree.
So, and because of that, and Kirk, what's funny is Kirk knows this, and the way the episode ends, he's in like absolute guilt, like
Yeah.
to the point where McCoy and Spock, McCoy's like, I just wish he'd forget her, and then Spock just has an idea. Kirk goes to sleep, and Spock just kind of mind melts him when he sleeps, and is like, forget, and that's how the episode ends.
It makes
Yeah,
me wonder
and-
how many other times he's done that for Kirk. Oh, Spock, I had the worst date ever. Now, Captain, just go to sleep. And in the morning, you won't remember anything. Thank you, Spock.
Does that happen, Spock? Does that really happen, Spock?
Sorry, what was that?
Does that
Forgetting
happen?
women.
Do you have to help Kirk every time he deals with a breakup or something? Or He does something.
Most of the
you-
time,
you
I have to make him forget most of the time. Yes.
There you go. See?
What are friends for?
Exactly.
Gotta
What
be
are friends
careful with
for?
mind blocks, though. They can.
Yeah.
Well,
I
yeah,
still
it's
have
just-
some very horrible memories from Kirk. Yes.
It's just like, this is the reason why, like, this another.
Him looking at himself in the mirror.
I mean, this is another
Oh no, we don't need that.
another
Moving on.
example of why these characters, in my opinion, are great, and why people love these characters because of just
Yes.
simple moments like that.
Now, Action Com again says this is the most direct rip of Shakespeare's The Tempest, which was the inspiration for Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I wouldn't say the most. I would say, What Are Little Girls Made Of is more of a direct rip, and even some aspects of the Man Trap too.
I
But I think
can
What Are
see
Little
that.
Girls Made Of with the old ones would be the Crow, basically.
Right.
Did you watch Forbidden
Yeah.
Planet, by the way, Paul?
Me
Yes.
and Brandon were going to, but then something
sick
happened
that
in those.
week.
Yeah. So we need to get back on that.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
I actually do mention Flint in my Forbidden Planet video, so Action Com is on to something. So
Okay.
Dr. Corby, Dr. Crater, and Flint are the three.
Right.
So
And Action Com also says chess, billiards, or conversation. Why not all three? Loves the way Kirk thinks. I
keep
agree
forgetting
too.
I keep forgetting what the difference between pool and billiards is.
Literally nothing.
Isn't like the game like
Interchangeable
slightly
terms.
different? Aren't they slightly different? Someone told me they were different.
If anything,
To my knowledge, there's no difference.
I think billiards is a little fancier of a word. So if you're going to a pool hall, it means you're going to the bar. But if you're going to play billiards, a little more up class type joint.
Right. And Jake D also said that apparently they were memory so bad he had to run to another timeline. I don't get this joke, but I believe you.
Oh, that's bad.
All right. And also this one here, Flint's robot or Robbie the robot. I
Yeah,
don't know who
that's-
Robbie the robot is.
Robbie the Robot is in Forbidden Planet.
Yep.
Okay.
He's Dr. Morbius's assistant.
Fair enough. So yeah, overall, I definitely liked this episode a lot. I don't think it would even come close to scratching my top 10, but it certainly is not a bad episode to me.
Yeah, they were going to actually try and continue this if Enterprise would have had like a fifth season. Like there was like we know some of the things that they would have attempted to, or they would have tried to adapt, and I think they would have tried to adapt Flint into an Enterprise episode. Not sure exactly what it would have been, but it would have been related. It would obviously be before this, maybe be about him getting this planet or something. Who knows?
I'm sure that would have been great. All right, and the last episode we are going to talk about tonight is The Way to Eden.
Way of Eden.
Oh boy!
Oh Lord.
And this is the infamous Space Hippies episode.
That's right.
Hippies.
Where
Hippies.
This was interesting, though. I have to say, this was probably one of my favorites in this season.
So Spock, am I a Herbert?
yeah,
Am
I
I a
have nothing
Herbert?
bad to say. about this one.
It's got some, but it's got some weird things. What's up?
Am I a Herbert?
A
If
Herbert?
you have to,
Yeah, that's
If you
what the
have to
hippies call
ask-
Kirk. They call him a Herbert.
Oh,
if you have
right.
to
No,
ask,
you're not.
I'd say yes.
This was a very strange episode. I mean, when you think of it now, this episode aired in '69, and it's basically about this crazy guy that basically, I mean, he's literally the leader is literally insane. He's leading these, hippies here, or the
Space
space hippies to this planet. And it's chilling because shortly after that same year, another crazy person with a hippie following mainly ladies committed grisly
yeah.
crimes in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a guy
And
whose
a guy named
name.
Charlie, and
Yeah,
so it just made me think about that not too long ago, or listening to this episode today, and it was just like, wow, such close proximity.
it is.
Mhm.
Though
It
even with
proposes
that-
an interesting idea, really, because we think
Yeah.
of the future going to be so well protected and everything, we might have better care for ourselves, but at the same time, it could be affecting us in a way we can't really scan with our, you know, medical devices. That's what was interesting about his case.
Yeah.
Right. So even without, as you mentioned, the analogies to that one person aside, this was still very much a story pointed at what the counterculture was of that day
Mm-hmm.
as a way of, I guess you could say, criticizing it, because it was definitely looking upon them in somewhat of a negative way. And it is unfortunate that these poor, impressionable young people fell under the influence of someone so crazy. But at the same time, there was things about this episode that I really liked. First off, music guy, I gotta mention it. The music was great. Seeing Spock play his little harp thingy with the one guy's weird looking guitar, that was nice. Although I am not convinced that the hippie that does the singing, I'm not convinced that that's his real voice. It does not sound like him at all. That had to have been dubbed. But then also another thing that I liked, and this is kind of in the same vein as what was that? The Lights of Zatar. Out of nowhere, this was a Chekhov centered episode, and I was not
Yeah.
expecting that one even less so than I did from Scotty. Like I could see Scotty getting his own episode, but there were members on the bridge like Uhura and Sulu that I would see getting an episode centered around them more than I do Chekhov. But still, they do it in such a great way where one of the hippies is a former Starfleet Academy student that was in the same class as Chekhov. And they have disagreements on basically how they see life. And that was very interesting to watch.
Yeah, man, don't be a square. Pass the doobie.
Don't be a Herbert.
Yeah.
But speaking of, here's something I did know, but I forgot about, and I'm reading Wikipedia to remember. Apparently, they originally was the girl in this episode was supposed to be McCoy's daughter originally. So
Really?
McCoy was gonna. So McCoy was originally gonna have a daughter named Joanna, and she was supposed to be romantically involved with Kirk, trying to create some tension between them. And they ended up changing this to, Irina and Chekhov. So,
Oh,
Right.
oh,
That would have been interesting, though, to see it be McCoy's daughter and hear that dynamic of, the daughter being how she is, but then McCoy being like, oh, good Lord. Why couldn't you just follow in the family business?
Well, when Bones got divorced, she left him with only his bones.
according to the J.J. Abrams movie.
Yeah, I don't
Wow.
recall. I don't recall in the real
No,
Star
I don't. Yeah, they've
that
never.
he was married or had kids out of a traditional means like how Kirk did.
Right.
Well, according to DC Fontana, I guess he did. So, I guess that's why they, used that idea in J.J. Abrams and stuff.
Right. Now, a couple things that Action Com is saying here. Number one, he says, I'm not the only one to think this, but isn't it interesting that there is diversity of thought in the Star Trek universe, wacky as it is? And yes,
That's why a lot of
is,
people.
definitely.
That's why it's, even though people say Star Trek is left wing, it's, to me, it's nonpartisan.
It's truly nonpartisan. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Brian. Star Trek is for everyone, and at that time, you got to think about the time that this show was made. We're coming at the end of the '60s. We've had, especially for this year, we've had everything that's happened: JFK's death, RFK's death,
MLK.
Martin Luther King's death, the rise of the counterculture, everything going on in Nam. When you take all those things into consideration, the country was in a bad shape, and it was definitely a place to go to be able to express ideas that maybe don't fit into the standard fold, or that maybe were part of the counterculture, and be able to explore those ideas. I don't really care for space hippies, and I bypassed it, but I find it absolutely hilarious that originally it was supposed to be McCoy's daughter wrapped up with the hippies, and then she starts
Yep.
fawning over Kirk.
Yeah.
That would
But you
have
know what?
that would have been something.
It's still way better than anything that those schlubs over at whatever they are now under Kurtzman is doing. So
Yeah,
Well, the
like
stuff under Kurtzman's very divisive, and
on
I mean,
purpose.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, I don't appreciate entertainment that is divisive. I mean,
Yeah.
Or
point of
just crass.
entertainment is to
Yeah.
bring people together. You know, have common interests and argue over, you know, which ship is better or which character is better. Not whether, you know, one show sucks and whether one show's,
right.
oh, it was the same for the earlier stuff was what was wrong with everything. So we're fixing it. Yeah, F off.
Mhm. Not to mention, as Brandon said, just being offensive for the sake of being offensive. Like that one still that we've all seen by now from Lower Decks of, and I'm going to be
Oh.
careful with my words here, one of the crew members giving a very, very interesting version of the Vulcan salute, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just
I've not
Complete,
why? Who is that for? What purpose does that serve the overall story?
That's Mike. This is Mike McMahon we're talking about.
Yep.
Hmm.
Oh, that one's very disappointing. I don't shy away. I saw the first season, and the last 2 episodes of that show, they were actually really good. There was hope, there was possibility, but then they go and do this crap.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with
seriously,
that.
Yeah.
you don't need. Thing with Star Trek is the sex was always implied. Use your imagination. You were given one, use it. You can't take something that always had you use your imagination and try and be crass and overly show it, overtly go out of your way to do something that's just juvenile. I understand what they're trying to do with it, but they're taking it to an extreme that didn't need to be shown. It could
Hey,
be
Steven.
implied.
You're lucky.
how-
You're lucky, Steven. Sorry to cut you off, Google.
Yes.
You're lucky,
Yeah.
Steven.
Yeah, Steve, you don't have to bleach bit your eyes. You're good. I have to bleach bit my eyes after seeing that drag. Ugh.
I've only seen
me
the
too.
first episode.
I hope it gets canceled now because of that. I hate to be like a cancel culture talker, but that's not something, you should show on TV, really.
It's getting a third
Oh.
season.
Well,
Oh,
that's the thing. They're
gosh.
not showing it on TV. It's on Paramount Plus,
Yeah.
so they can
But
get
the thing is, it's just like they're really making a mockery of a really cherished universe. It's disgusting to see
and a
that.
storyline.
Like what ActionCom says here, some say that episode of Lower Decks was a dig at Gene Roddenberry. His ideas about sex would be right at home with the space hippies.
Maybe. Well, we know
he
that
likes beautiful
from-
women. He said
Yeah.
so in several
Yeah.
interviews. He's
he had his faults when it came to the women and being a, for lack of a better term, a playboy. Which when you look at him, you're like, really. But at the same time, he loved the women.
Confidence.
The women loved
Yeah.
him. Who knows why? But they did. But when it
Yeah.
went to those things, we didn't. It's not something that was really truly common knowledge until after his death and the birth of the internet. That's when all this stuff typically came out. But just
Right.
having it all out there for everyone to see, with leaving nothing to the imagination, it's the height of crass and stupidity.
And disrespect.
I'll be
And
honest.
disrespect.
I'll be honest. I'm surprised they're still making more of this Star Trek or this Trek.
What
Excuse me.
What do we expect from Paramount?
Like,
Paramount is
they're already delivering in less than a month or in a month season 4 of Discovery, and we still haven't even gotten the Orville season 3. That's effed up. And then we're getting another season of Picard, and Picard season 1 is just after seeing that, I'm like, I can't watch any more of this stuff.
Oh yeah, he pukes hard,
Oh,
really, really badly.
Yeah. And yeah,
And his first
Pacific
officer is
414.
blows chunks.
a lot of people say Lower Decks is the best of the new Trek.
Oh yeah,
I
I hear
hope
that a
that's not
lot
the
too.
case.
I hear
But
that a
yeah.
lot too. It's so
I
incorrect. There's like, I'll give him
oh,
a good example. There's nothing good in New Trek.
by the way,
Well,
we just got a cameo appearance from my grandmother.
say hi. Hi, Grandma.
Hi, Grandma.
Hello.
She's on her way out
Hello.
to walk the dog.
Here's my final take on lower Drex or lower crap or lowered expectations for now.
Lower
The first season had
expectations.
its problems, but it's like it was right there on the cusp. The last two episodes were great episodes. They were actually funny. They didn't go over the top with anything. It was right there on the cusp
What
of
happened?
something good.
What
But then
happened
like
in
this,
those? What
but then
happened
with
in those
like
episodes?
all the things that go with when you're talking about current modern Hollywood, you get the woke, you get the crass, you get just the in your face attitude of everything, and they ruin it. Although I will say this. There was one point of self-reflection for Boimler, the beta um, C word,
Mm-hmm.
that actually was rather poignant and pinpoints everything that's currently wrong with Star Trek. If you do a search, I believe it was in the second episode. He basically said, why did I join Starfleet? It wasn't to be gallivanting around the galaxy, blowing pardon the known word, blowing shit up, shooting your phasers all the time, partying all the time, contrabanding everything. He said, for me, it was to go explore, to learn, and basically the tenets of Trek. They actually expounded in that show why that show shouldn't exist. But then it was gone. It was laughed off.
It
It
just
sounds. It
sucks,
sounds like. It
because
sounds like new Trek.
yeah,
It's like they bait you with something and then they just pull the rug out from under you.
Yeah.
it just
That
sucks
was a
that
moment of
when
pure
I try to
bait.
introduce my kids to Star Trek, they're gonna want to watch it all by themselves, go through every season like I did, and then they're gonna be like, "Oh, what's Lower Decks?" And then they're gonna be, unfortunately, awaited a surprise.
Yeah, that one's
Like it's
going under the lock and key. That the yeah,
yeah.
my kids they're not following in my footsteps when it comes to these things, unfortunately.
And earlier, what Pacific 414 said, yeah, we will
Yeah.
not be talking about lower
Avoid
decks
it
on
like
this
the
show.
plague.
Yeah, I might be willing to talk about Discovery and Picard, even if I have to do it by myself. But lower decks, absolutely not.
Well, I can do the first two seasons of Discovery, and I can do the first season of Picard. So yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
had to bleach bit my eyes. And I had
don't
to.
talk
Anyway,
about
just-
Picard and eyes. Jeez.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's get back to what we were actually talking about and some
Real
of the
Trek.
earlier comments from ActionCom. He says Adam is the actor who aborted the mission in Rambo 2, and he says that Charles Napier said that they lied to the producers about singing to get the job. Interesting that I picked up on that. And yeah, like I said, I do not believe for a minute that that was his real singing voice. But this one he sends I don't get. Ask not for whom the bell tolls. Are you talking about the Metallica song?
Bell tolls for us all eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of the Hemingway book.
I could see that.
But yeah, he was in Charles Napier was in the Blues Brothers. He was one of the good old boys, Remember they pretend they're a country group, They go because they don't have a gig and the band's like they're gonna quit on them if they don't find something. So they pretend they're the good old boys and they go into this dive and they're like they're behind a fence because people are just keep throwing like bottles they keep throwing like beers at them and stuff.
Right. Oh, the
And-
bell you heard in the background? Yeah, that's a clock that I have right over here.
So quite literally, the bell tolled for us all.
I'm sure there was
Yeah.
a Star Trek episode with that name.
All right, so that is all of the episodes for this block of season 3. And we've only got 4 episodes left for next week. So, holy cow. So, what do you guys say we do this? We go over the 4 episodes next week, but then from there, as sort of a final goodbye to the original series before we get into the movies and the animated series and, continues, let's each of us present our ranking of the top 5 best and least favorite episodes of this show and just sort of why.
Okay.
I think we can do that.
Yep.
Although it is going to be
Rock.
hard to limit it to 5 good ones, especially from the first season. There's so many of them.
Yes.
Yeah, that is true. But I chose 5 because I feel like 10 would just take too long.
Oh yeah,
But if we have to do, but if we have to do 10, then so be it. We'll make it its own stream if we have to.
So is this going to be next week with the last 4, or is this going to be?
Actually, yeah, let's do this. Let's do the stream next week of just the last 4 by themselves. Then the week after, we'll do our top 10 favorite and least favorite episodes. Well, okay, top 10 favorite, top 5 least favorite. Let's do it that way.
Works for me.
All right. So with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and end the stream here. Brandon, you and I have something to do after this. You still up for that?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, me too. All right, so guys, thanks again for watching this. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And make sure, by the way, guys, if you haven't, to subscribe to everyone's channel that's on this panel with me. Golgo13's Anime 101. He especially needs it because, boy, did he have a roller coaster of a week last week.
Yeah.
Spock's channel, he put out some interesting music on Echo Base TV. Give that a listen. And of course, the Nerdporeal Lifeform. You just put out a review of No Time to Die, didn't you?
No, I did I did a live stream talking with my friend Marty, talking about James Bond and stuff. I just did my first Serial Horror Sessions video, Halloween
Okay.
1 and 2. So because it's Halloween season, get into some horror and stuff. But yeah, this week I'm seeing No Time to Die on Thursday, and I'm gonna have my own
Gotcha.
reaction. I'm gonna have my own reaction and discussion stream. So I'm gonna be talking spoilers. So if you plan on seeing the movie, and are very sensitive to spoilers, well, I'm gonna be talking spoilers. So
Spoiler alert.
there you go. There you go.
That works. I just do this. All right, well, yeah, we're going to go ahead and end the stream here, guys. So again, thank you guys for watching this. And just remember, live long and prosper, and the Force is family. See you guys later.